I Want to Go to Jail, a play in one act by Pamela Swing and Elizabeth DeBanca. A drama inspired by the last time National Woman's Party suffragists were jailed for picketing President Wilson. The language used is appropriate to the period. The scene: Boston, Massachusetts, at the State House and other locations. The time: February 23rd to March 9th, 1919. Scene 1. National Woman's Party headquarters at 9 Park Street. Suffragists are sorting out banners in a spacious room that has a table piled with papers, on one side and a couch and armchairs on the other. Sunday, February 23rd, 1919. Betty Graham enters and speaks to the audience.
How do you convince people in power to give you a share of that power when asking politely isn't working? It's time to picket.
President Wilson, returning from the Paris Peace Conference after 3 months away.
President Wilson's ship due in port tonight. Tomorrow, huge crowds are expected for the parade.
French Prime Minister escapes assassination attempt yesterday.
Catherine Morey, Alice Paul, Lucy Daniels, and Rosa Rauer come forward.
Catherine, how many women have signed up to picket?
We have 21.
Only 21? I was hoping for more.
Well, it is February in New England.
How can they let weather get in the way? This is the first time President Wilson has been in the United States for months.
We reached out to a lot of women. They're more worried about the bad economy right now than getting the vote.
Don't they understand that voting will give them a voice in how the government responds to economic downturn?
I ran into some anti-suffrage sentiment as well. One woman said that we needn't bother on her account, as she wouldn't know what to do with the vote if she got it. She told me her husband makes all the big decisions in her household, and that's fine with her.
And I had a woman tell me that it is our sacred duty to stay home to raise our children and care for our husbands. I told her that I have children myself, but I refuse to be restricted to the home with no political say. Women have a voice, and we intend to use it to make this country a better place to live.
Good for you, Rosa. Did you convince her?
No, but at least we had a civil conversation about it. Some women just slammed the door in my face.
We'll have to make do with the numbers we have. Are the banners and sashes all ready?
We're all set. I'm especially pleased with the way the big banner turned out.
Lucy Daniels holds up a banner that says,
Mr. President, you said in the Senate
on September 30th,
we shall not only be distrusted, but we shall deserve to be distrusted if we do not enfranchise women.
you alone can remove this distrust now by securing the one vote needed to pass the suffrage amendment before March 4th.
It's high time President Wilson paid attention to his own country.
And to the women in his country.
He owes us. We sent over our husbands, our sons, our fathers, and our brothers to fight in the Great War. We kept the country together while they were gone. We deserve to have a say in how our government is run.
Betty Graham is from Oregon, so she's been voting since 1912. But here in Massachusetts, we still can't vote.
Exactly. That's why we need this amendment. We can't wait any longer for each state to give their women the right to vote.
Where is Betty anyway?
Martha Foley enters.
Excuse me. Is this the National Women's Party headquarters?
Yes. Can we help you?
I heard you were going to picket President Wilson.
That's right. Are you here to join us?
I think so, but I've never done anything like this before.
Don't worry. We'll show you what to do. I'm Catherine Morey.
Martha Foley, pleased to meet you.
This is Lucy Daniels, Rosa Rower, and Alice Paul.
Alice Paul? The Alice Paul? I've read all about you in the papers.
Good. That's my goal. The more suffrage is in the news, the better. So you'll join our group tomorrow? You do need to know that the police will arrest anyone who pickets.
I've never been arrested for anything.
Don't worry. Most of us have been arrested before.
I don't know. I'm going to have to think about this.
Betty, there you are.
Yes, I'm here. We've got a big problem with our plans to picket. After the attack on the French Prime Minister, they decided to have a solid line of troops guarding Wilson's route. How will we ever get near the State House?
Maybe this isn't such a good idea. We could wait until the President Wilson gets back to Washington to picket him.
We can't afford to lose even one day. We'll get more attention if we picket Wilson the moment he steps back on American soil.
But a solid line of troops?
It could get really nasty.
You must make it clear by your conduct that you're committed to nonviolent protest.
What if they don't get the message?
Their job is to prevent an assassination attempt on the president. Unarmed women carrying banners are not a threat. I expect you tomorrow at headquarters by 9 a.m. sharp. Martha, will you be joining us?
I'm not sure.
I hope you can make it.
I was in your shoes not too long ago, Martha. It's funny to look back on it now, but I was very unsure about becoming a suffragist.
Really?
I'd go to suffrage meetings, but I wasn't really committed. It was like, well, two parts of me were having an argument. I dreamt all my life of becoming a singer, but I also believed in women's rights. I couldn't do both. I ended up moving to New York City to study voice and started singing in Broadway musicals.
Oh, that sounds like fun.
Well, it was. I even won an audition for a leading role. Then my sister came all the way from Oregon to tell me about a large picket line that Alice Paul was organizing. She wanted women from every state to participate. And then I knew right away I wanted to do it. I guess I was just finally ready. It didn't bother me at all that we knew we would be arrested.
My dream is to become a writer.
Well, it's important to listen to your dreams. What makes you want to picket?
Well, growing up, my dad never gave me the kind of attention he gave my brother. He would tell my brother he could become anything he wanted to, but he wouldn't hear of it when I said I wanted to be a writer. As a woman, the most I could hope for was to be a teacher. And of course, get married and have children. I want more for women. For me.
You sound a lot like me. Why don't you sleep on it? Whatever you decide, it has to feel right to you.
Scene 2, National Women's Party headquarters, next day.
Did anyone else sign up to picket since yesterday? I really want a good showing.
We could easily add to our numbers by asking Josephine St. Pierre Ruffin to reach out to other local Negro suffragists.
That's a great idea.
I wish we could. The problem is that the southern states will not support our cause if we include Negroes.
I think that's extremely short-sighted of today's suffrage movement. Here in New England, Lucy Stone worked with abolitionists to fight for Negro and women's rights together.
Once the vote is granted to women, Negro women will be able to vote as well.
I'm not so sure about that. The southern states are already blocking Negro men from voting with their Jim Crow laws.
This is a really important topic. There is no easy solution. But there's a lot at stake with our plans to picket President Wilson. And I think we have to focus on that right now.
Oh, good. You're here. I'm so glad you decided to come.
I had to sneak out of the house, but I truly want to be here.
Good.
I was awake most of the night thinking about our conversation. You know what I've decided? I can combine being a suffragist with being a writer. I'm going to write about what happens to me. I'm so excited.
That is a really fantastic idea.
Ladies, let's talk about our strategy for today. I think it would look more dignified not to smile.
Be calm and determined. Keep moving and try to slip past the line of Marines without provoking them. Then stand in front of the State House in silence. I'll be off to the side. I'm hoping I can convince the police not to arrest you until after President Wilson passes by.
We do expect to be arrested at some point. Offer no resistance.
No resistance to getting arrested? That's not how we've been picketing in front of the White House. Boston is just too stuffy for words.
Betty, I've picketed the White House even more than you have. Boston is different. We've told the police that we are not trying to cause trouble. We will be more effective if we behave with dignity.
It depends. We don't want to seem like we are just giving in.
Catherine, I'm scared that we are going too far. This could be dangerous.
I know. I couldn't sleep last night worrying about it.
But what do? Miss Paul is absolutely set on picketing today.
I'm not sure.
Can I have your attention, please? I so wish I could picket with you. I love holding a banner high for the world to see, and I would willingly go to jail again. But strategically, I am most useful if I can lobby the Senate next week. And I can't do that from a jail cell. Once we get that one last vote, the suffrage amendment can go to the states for ratification.
Miss Paul, some of us are still worried about getting past the soldiers.
I've been thinking about that too. We'll be arriving at the State House long before President Wilson is expected, and he's the focus of their concern. I really think you'll be fine if you just march right through their line and act as though you belong there. All right, everyone? Line up.
Catherine Morey picks up an American flag. The others stand behind her holding purple, white, and gold banners and the sign with the message to President Wilson.
Today could be the day that makes the difference for ourselves and for generations of women to come in this country. Wilson claims that he now supports suffrage. Let's see him prove it to us.
Lucy Stone would be rolling over in her grave if she realized that women still don't have the vote after almost 70 years of trying.
Scene 3, outside the State House a short time later. The suffragists march in and spread out along the stage. The police commissioner Curtis enters and walks along the line of picketers. Then he goes over to Alice Paul.
Miss Paul, these ladies have to leave before the president's motorcade arrives, or they shall be arrested for loitering.
They have a right to be here. It's our right as citizens to peaceably demonstrate.
Miss Paul, We are serious. Your group cannot remain here.
Fellow suffragists, ignore him. We'll continue to carry out our plans.
Ladies, if you do not leave, you shall be arrested for loitering. Ladies, I hereby arrest you for loitering in a public space. You, ma'am, are under arrest.
Don't you dare touch me. You are violating my First Amendment rights.
I'm sorry, but you have to come with me. Officer, I need assistance. Take these women into custody.
Ma'am, I have to place you under arrest.
Thank you.
Don't tell my superior, but I'm with you, ladies. My sister wants the vote, too.
Tell her to get in touch with us.
Scene 4, courtroom of the Pemberton Square Courthouse the next day, February 25th. Betty Graham, Catherine Mowry, Lucy Daniels, Rosa Rauer, Martha Foley are shouting and waving to suffragists, friends, family, reporters, anti-suffragists who have packed the courthouse.
Miss Paul, we're so glad to see you.
We were stuck all night in the House of Detention.
The House of Detention is absolutely disgusting.
We had to sleep all night in our clothes.
The House of Detention is a filthy, dirty hole.
We were packed in 4 to a cell like sardines.
And we had to sleep on iron shelves.
Nobody got a wink of sleep.
All night long, drunkards kept being brought in.
Has there been any
Silence in the court.
Look how many reporters are here.
Silence in the court.
Can you telephone my husband for me?
Hi, Jesse. Thanks for showing up.
I can't hear you. It's too noisy in here.
Mr. President Wilson made any statements yet?
The court is hereby closed to all but the defendants. You must vacate the courtroom immediately.
This isn't legal.
We have the right to a public trial.
This is unconstitutional.
What do you think you are doing?
This is an outrage.
Our rights are being violated.
Don't go.
Refuse to leave.
Stand your ground.
Any person remaining in the courtroom will be arrested. Hear ye, all rise. All persons having anything to do before the Honorable Chief Justice Bolster of the Municipal Court for Suffolk County, Criminal Division, draw near. Give your attention, and you shall be heard. God save the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
We're here today in the arraignment of these defendants on the charge of loitering more than 7 minutes. The defendants shall approach the bench one at a time. What is your name?
As an American citizen under arrest, I demand a public trial.
The defendant is to answer the question put before her. What is your name?
My name is Jane Doe.
What is your name?
As an American citizen under arrest, I demand a public trial.
Defendant is to answer the question put before her. What is your name?
My name is Jane Doe.
Are all of you Jane Doe?
Yes.
You are hereby charged with a violation of the City of Boston ordinance by loitering in a public space. How do you plead?
Why single us out for loitering? All of Boston was loitering while waiting for that parade.
You are the ones who have been charged and are appearing before me. I ask you again, how do you plead?
Not guilty.
You have the right to appeal any conviction and sentence.
We refuse our right of appeal. We were loitering for liberty.
In that case, I find you all guilty and sentence all of you to a $5 fine or 8 days in the Charles Street Jail.
We want to go to jail.
Scene 5, Charles Street Jail that evening. Suffragists are each in a solitary jail cell. Sheriff Kelleher enters.
We demand to be treated as political prisoners.
And that means we get to keep our own clothes, have books, and generous visiting hours.
Ladies, calm down.
And no work details. We're not criminals. We did not break the law.
You are not political prisoners. You did break the law, and by refusing to pay your fines, you are subject to the rules and regulations of the Charles Street Jail. But since you are here for only 8 days, you can wear your own clothes. Why don't you have some bread and cocoa and get settled? You'll be here for a while.
Bread and cocoa. Don't treat us like children.
I won't eat that, and I won't eat any food that is served here. I already started a hunger strike last night.
Me too.
Suit yourselves.
Can anybody hear me?
Yes.
How are you doing?
Oh, just fine and dandy.
Do I see correctly that all we have for a toilet is a bucket?
That's all I have.
Who's crying?
I think it must be Betty. Betty, are you all right?
I can't stand being back in jail.
I know. It's no fun.
Well, my memories keep flooding back, and I can't stop reliving that awful night 2 years ago.
You mean when we first arrived at the horrible Occoquan workhouse?
Yes, when that door banged open and men started pouring in.
Oh, Betty, that was the most terrifying moment of my life. Those men meant business.
Oh, I can't believe it was for real. We were just sitting there quietly, and they came charging at us.
What are you talking about?
The night of terror.
Terror? The night of terror?
The superintendent hired men to rough us up and teach us suffragettes a lesson.
My mother was there too. It still upsets her to talk about it.
We'd been arrested for obstructing traffic, for goodness sakes. We wanted to be treated as political prisoners.
Political prisoners? Ha! We had no idea what was in store for us. I saw them slam Dorothy Day down onto a bench. They tossed me into a cell like I was a rag doll.
All I could think of was that if anything happened to my sister, my parents would never forgive me. But I couldn't find her in the chaos.
Betty, you must have been petrified.
Oh, but just as I caught sight of her, two men grabbed me, and they forced me out of the room, dragged me across a field, and shoved me into a pitch-black cell. My shoulders ached for days.
Was your sister all right?
Oh, she was fine, but I didn't know that until the next day. It was a long night.
You two got off pretty lightly, considering. My mother told me that some women got beaten pretty badly, and one woman had a heart attack.
The worst was hearing screams out in the corridor, but not being able to see what was going on.
For days afterward, every time I heard a footstep, I'd get scared that something dreadful was about to happen. And of course, we were all on a hunger strike, so it was not an easy time.
I'll never forget how much it hurt not to eat. And oh, those horrid rats. They would drag the food right off the table.
My dear, I wish I could give you a hug right now. You sound just like one of my children having a nightmare.
Well, this is a nightmare. I'm willing to do almost anything for our cause, but I hate jail. I feel so trapped. How am I going to last?
We're all in here together. We'll get through it.
But I feel so alone right now. Martha, I'm sorry. I want to put on a brave face for you, but I can't pretend everything is going to be all right.
I think we should try and get some sleep, if sleep is possible, on these poor excuses for beds.
Alive, alive, oh, alive, alive, oh, for justice, for freedom, alive, alive, oh. Da 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 da.
Scene 6, Charles Street Jail, next morning.
Betty, how are you doing this morning?
Still a bit shaky, but it helps that we can at least talk to each other. The last time we had to whistle to each other to be heard. I'm famished, though. Martha, are you all right?
I didn't sleep very much, but I'm all right. Betty, I'm so sorry you had to go through all that. But you survived, and when I'm having a hard time, I'll remember that.
The sheriff enters with another man.
Jane Doe, you have a visitor.
Her name is Martha Foley. What, not with this absurd Jane Doe nonsense.
Oh, Papa, no. Don't tell me you're here to get me out. I hope you didn't pay my fine. You know this is important to me.
He already did pay your fine. You're free to go.
You have embarrassed your mother and me. Enough with this suffragist nonsense. How will you ever find a husband now?
I'll never marry. I've found my community where I belong.
You will gather yourself, hold your head, and leave all this behind. We are going home, and you are to forget these women. So help me God.
I won't go.
Refuse or not, it's been done, and you're taking up a jail cell that could be used.
You have no choice if you plan on living anywhere except in the streets. Now let's go. I won't hear another word.
What you are doing is illegal. I did not give you permission to pay my fine. I'm going to contest my release.
Yoo-hoo! Mr. Sheriff, may I have a word with you?
What is it?
I'm accustomed to the cold because I come from Vermont. But honestly, these cells are absolutely freezing. We need more blankets.
And the guard told us we have to carry our toilet buckets down to the jail yard to empty them ourselves. They're too heavy for us to manage.
This isn't a hotel. This is a jail. Don't like the treatment? Don't commit the crime.
You won't even give us our packages that we know people are sending us. We are human beings.
How can we deliver packages when all of you are called Jane Doe?
Scene 7, Martha Foley's bedroom. The spotlight comes up on Martha Foley sitting at a desk, writing.
I went straight to the Women's Party headquarters after leaving the Charles Street jail. When I walked in, they were flabbergasted to see me. "How did you get out?" they asked. I was forced to leave, I told them. It was the last thing I wanted to do. I explained that my fine had been paid illegally without my consent. I don't think it's necessary to say that my father paid the fine. I had to tell the others at headquarters, of course. They were suitably horrified on my behalf. I was determined to find by what right such an unprecedented thing had been done. Immediately, a group of us set out for Judge Bolster's office, where our delegation encountered a court officer. When we asked his name, he replied, "Jane Doe." You can't make this stuff up. He had such a smirk on his face as he said it. This was, of course, the alias that we had used at our sentencing. The judge refused to grant us an audience, so we returned to headquarters to write a statement to the press. It took us some time to come up with suitable wording to express our outrage. From hour to hour, the methods of the authorities in dealing with the situation which they have created with regard to the 16 women whom they sent to the Charles Street jail grow more and more extraordinary. Protests are coming in to the mayor and Judge Bolster from all over the country.
Scene 8, Sheriff Kelleher's office at the Charles Street Jail. Catherine Morey resists as the officer brings her to the sheriff's office.
Why have I been brought here?
Miss Morey, your fine has been paid. You are free to go.
What? What do you mean my fine has been paid?
You have a mysterious benefactor.
No one can pay our fines without our consent.
What's your problem? Usually people can't wait to get out of jail.
I don't believe my fine has been paid at all. The authorities just want to be rid of us because we are a publicity crisis.
All I can say is that a man wearing glasses and a dark overcoat came in this afternoon and said he was here to pay the fine for you.
I demand to know who he is. He is violating my rights as a citizen.
If I had refused to accept the money, I would have been violating the law. Once your fine is paid, I can't keep you in jail.
I will not leave the jail until the others come with me.
I'm sorry, but their fine wasn't paid. Yours was. You have to go.
I absolutely refuse to leave.
Why? Please tell me, would you want to stay in jail? You've been complaining nonstop about the conditions.
We had a legal right to picket. We should never have been arrested in the first place. But since we have been, we want the world to know what we are up against when we ask for basic rights.
Please don't compel me to use force.
I'm not leaving this jail.
You give me no choice. I regret this exceedingly.
Scene 9, Charles Street Jail, 2 days later.
166, 167. Hey, as of this moment, we have received 168 telegrams. Listen to this one. We wish to congratulate you on the newspaper space being given to the Fighting Suffs. Hey, that's us. Isn't it marvelous how well this has played out? We've been on the front page of newspapers for days. Lucy, how are you doing with the telegram to the president?
I just finished it. Mr. President, you alone can secure the one vote needed to pass the suffrage amendment before March 4th. This is the message we tried silently to deliver to you on Monday. We repeat it to you now from the Charles Street Jail in Boston.
That's excellent, Lucy.
If that isn't enough, I'm on day 5 of my hunger strike. I won't eat until President Wilson gets that vote.
And I'm determined to stay in jail for our full sentence. I am not going to get dressed today. If I'm in my nightgown, no one can throw me out.
Oh, look, here's a note from Martha Foley. She says, every morning I wake up and wish I were still in jail with all of you. Hang in there. It won't be much longer.
The sheriff enters and unlocks Betty Graham and Lucy Daniels' cell doors.
Ladies, your fines have all been paid. You are free to go. Except for you, Mrs. Rauer. Your husband supports you finishing your sentence. He says he'll take legal action if your fine is paid. But the rest of you, out.
Oh, for goodness sakes, who paid our fines this time?
The same man as last time. Reporters have been desperate to learn more about him, but all they could dig up is that he calls himself E.J. Howe. He claims he is acting on behalf of someone else.
This is just ridiculous. Someone is undermining what we are doing. At least Mrs. Rauer's husband supports our cause. What do you think, Mrs. Rauer? It's only 3 more days.
I'll finish my sentence with pride.
Then you know what I think. Getting thrown out of jail is just as good for publicity as staying in jail. The papers will eat it up. Lucy, throw on something over your nightgown. We're leaving.
Scene 10, outside the Charles Street Jail that evening.
Mrs. Rauer.
Mrs. Rauer!
Mrs. Rauer.
Mrs.
Mrs. Rauer. Mrs. Rauer, we have wonderful news.
Senator Gay of Louisiana has come out in favor of the amendment.
We finally have enough votes in the Senate.
Hooray.
We did it. The amendment is going to pass Congress at last.
We can't wait until we get you out of jail to celebrate with us.
On a count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Alive, alive, oh, alive, alive, oh, for justice, for freedom, alive, alive, oh. The brave banners blowing, undaunted and singing, for justice, for freedom, alive, alive, oh. Alive, alive, oh, alive, alive, oh. We did it! We did it! Alive, alive, oh.
Scene 11, backstage at the 6-year-old Wilbur Theater, Boston, 9 days later.
I honestly thought we'd done it this time.
I know. Picketing, going to jail, it had worked.
I was so excited.
Oh, me too. Then those anti-suffrage senators kept the amendment from coming to the floor for a vote before Congress adjourned.
They snatched victory right out of our hands. I've never been so frustrated about anything in my life.
Now we have to convince both the House and the Senate to vote on it again. This is taking forever.
You can't give in to despair. This is just a temporary setback. We will prevail.
That's fine for you to say. You're young still. Susan B. Anthony did not live to see women get the vote. And I'm starting to think that it won't happen in my lifetime either.
I've just joined the National Women's Party, and we're not going to let that happen.
I hope you're right. It would mean the world to me to go into a voting booth and mark up my very first ballot.
Keep your chin up. We came this far, and I know we'll get there again. Remember, we're the Fighting Suffs. Yay!
I keep wondering, did reporters ever uncover anything more about the mysterious Mr. Howe who paid our fines?
Not really. Evidently, he was acting on behalf of a prominent Boston attorney. All Mr. Howe would say was that his clients did not want the Suffs to suffer.
The ceremony's about to begin. Martha and Mrs. Rower, since this is the first time you went to jail for suffrage, you will receive a prison pin. But I want to say how proud I am of all of you. You persisted in picketing in extremely challenging conditions. You did it with grace and fortitude. For the rest of your life, you can take pride in knowing that you took a stand for justice and equality and went to prison for your convictions.
Yahoo!
They're calling me now to go on stage. I expect all of you back at our Washington headquarters on Tuesday morning. We still have a lot of work to do.
Alive, alive, oh, alive, alive, oh, for justice, for freedom, alive, alive, oh, alive, alive, oh, alive, alive, oh, for justice, for freedom, alive, alive, oh, alive, alive, oh, for justice, for freedom, alive, alive, oh.
Chair for her up here.